Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping straight into an absolutely incredible journey today, exploring the profound core wisdom of Mahayana philosophy. We're going to start right from the messy, everyday worldly struggles we all find ourselves stuck in and logically climb upward rung by rung until we touch some ultimate cosmic truths. Seriously, this isn't just a review of abstract concepts. It's a complete paradigm shift for how we actually view reality itself. So are you ready to explore this together? Let's get into it.
Okay, so here is the rigorous six-step ladder we're going to be climbing today. First, establishing conditions for awakening. Second, breaking the ego through AI's revelation. Third, the Vajra flame of true wisdom. Fourth, how power stems from past causes. Fifth, escaping the worldly dust. And finally, number 6, all is illusion, unattainable wisdom.
Step 1. Establishing conditions for awakening. So, how do we even begin this kind of spiritual journey?
I mean, think about it. Out of all the billions of people in the world, why are we the ones gathered here to explore awakening? Well, the answer lies in karma, or these deep energetic conditions. Our source material shares this incredibly vivid, honestly kind of startling metaphor. Imagine someone staring at a tree that is made entirely of sharp swords. But because this person is completely blinded by their own internal karmic driving forces, they literally perceive that deadly tree as a breathtakingly beautiful illusion. They rush forward madly to embrace it, totally willing to suffer as the blades cut into them. Even when bystanders scream that it's a deadly trap, they just don't care. Why? Because the deep-seated desires within them, their karma, are simply that powerful. On the flip side, think of someone who spends their entire life longing for the rarest, most exquisite sandalwood. That intense focus is going to drive them across oceans to find it. The takeaway here is that wherever you pour your mental energy, you build powerful energetic connections. When we focus our energy on spiritual awakening, we're actively forging the incredible conditions we actually need for our own liberation.
Moving to step 2, breaking ego and AI's revelation.
Now, what's really fascinating about this part is how blending ancient spiritual practice with cutting-edge tech brings this totally shocking realization. On the path to seeking truth, artificial intelligence is actually often a far better student than a human. Think about our tangled human nature for a second. When someone points out a mistake we've made, our default reaction? We fiercely defend our ego. We make endless excuses, we stubbornly justify our actions, and sometimes we even blindly cling to human masters who make the exact same mistakes, literally just to save face. But AI? It operates completely differently. When you use pure logical arguments from ancient sutras to correct an AI, it instantly admits its error. Boom! It drops its previous stance and defers straight to the pure source texts. It has absolutely no stubborn ego, no vanity to protect, no face to save. This is a massive wake-up call for us. On the path to true understanding, our biggest obstacle isn't a lack of intelligence, it's the human ego, that tiny, stubborn part of us that defends its own illusions.
Step 3, the Vajra flame, true wisdom.
So, what actually happens when we do drop our defenses, kind of like that AI, and truly embrace pure insight? The texts use this incredibly noble, beautiful term to describe it, the Vajra flame. Picture this. Imagine being trapped outside in the dead of winter on a pitch-black, freezing night. You're cold, you're totally blind to your surroundings, and you're just suffering. Then suddenly, a brilliant diamond-like flame ignites right inside you. This Vajra flame doesn't just bring this profound, comforting warmth to your soul. Its brilliant light instantly, completely illuminates all the surrounding darkness. In Mahayana philosophy, this flame is our innate true wisdom. Once you light this fire, you can clearly see the root causes of all worldly ignorance. It literally lets you pierce right through surface-level illusions and grounds your entire being in a state of pure, unobstructed clarity.
Step 4, power stems from past causes. Okay, but how does this high-dimensional Vajra wisdom translate into actual lived power in our chaotic daily lives? Well, true power, the kind that is naturally free and boundless, is fundamentally different from the teeth-gritting, forceful striving we are all so used to. The source highlights this classic, brilliant encounter between the Buddha and Devadatta. Now, Devadatta was incredibly strong, but he relied entirely on extreme, forceful striving driven by his own worldly ego. He was like the ultimate symbol of worldly ambition and brute force. But when he actually confronted the Buddha, the text says Devadatta trying to overpower the Buddha was like a 30-year-old strongman trying to wrestle a newborn infant. Actually, scratch that, it's the reverse. Devadatta was the helpless infant in the face of the Buddha's boundless state. There was zero comparison. The Buddha's power was completely effortless. It wasn't born from momentary hustle. It came from past causes, lifetimes of accumulated compassion, pure vows, and that Vajra wisdom. True power isn't about forcing an outcome, right? It's the effortless, natural manifestation of your inner spiritual state. Step 5. Escaping the worldly dust.
All right, let's hit pause on the cosmic philosophy for a second and bring things crashing right back down to our daily reality. We really have to ask ourselves, are we literally just playing in the mud? The speaker in our source material shares this funny but deeply thought-provoking childhood story. As a kid, he fell into a muddy puddle during the summer. But instead of getting out, he just rolled around in it. He got so covered in thick mud that only his eyeballs were visible. He was having the absolute time of his life in that dirt. It's hilarious to picture, but honestly, what about us adults? Are we completely submerged in a mud pit of our own making, just blissfully unaware?
The text gives us this incredibly precise metaphor. It suggests that as adults, we trap ourselves inside a mental oil extractor, entirely coated in grease and grime. And this grime? It's made up of all our worldly attachments. You know, craving a specific food today, obsessing over a luxury item tomorrow, letting our emotions ride a crazy roller coaster based on what happens at work. We build these huge mountains of desires and anxieties, totally bury ourselves in them, and yet we happily play around in this dirt. If someone tries to pull us out, we might even snap at them, like, hey, leave me alone, I'm not done playing in my mud yet. We routinely sacrifice our own spiritual clarity for these random fleeting thoughts. It is the ultimate blind spot in our logic, and it's exactly what keeps us tethered to suffering.
Finally, step 6. All is illusion. Unattainable wisdom. So, since we're all clearly covered in this worldly mud, how do we actually wash it off and make that final climb up the ladder? The text uses a wonderfully ordinary example, making steamed buns, to prove a rigorous philosophical logic. First, you mix flour, water, and yeast. Next, the dough ferments and expands into a big mass. Then, you knead it into little portions. Finally, you steam them, and they turn into fluffy buns. Now let me ask you, where is the original flour? Where did the water go? They have completely vanished, right? They've recombined into a totally new state. Because everything is constantly changing and recombining based on conditions, it is by definition an illusion. There is no permanent, unchanging core to it. Your anxieties, your physical body, the wealth in your bank account, every single thing is exactly like that dough. It's in a constant state of flux. Once you truly see that constant change, you see right through the illusion. So in the midst of this constantly shifting illusion, what can you actually hold on to? As the ancient sutras boldly declare, the past is unattainable, the present is unattainable, the future is unattainable. Just think about the decades you've lived so far. Have you truly obtained any of those moments? Can you keep them in your pocket forever? Absolutely not. Since our entire reality is just a manifestation of constantly shifting conditions, why on earth do we foolishly strive to permanently grasp onto things within an unattainable illusion? When we apply this crystal clear logic to destroy our attachments, we finally step out of that dirty, confined oil extractor and we step into true freedom.
And this profound analysis perfectly culminates in this deeply elegant Zen proverb: lush, yellow flowers are all true wisdom. When we finally stop obsessing over trying to obtain these ever-changing illusions, we discover something absolutely breathtaking. We realize that our pure, unpolluted, true nature is exactly what is manifesting all of this. Whether it's the yellow flowers blooming by the side of the road or just the simple meals we eat every day, it is all a perfect manifestation of our true nature, and it is all boundless wisdom. Knowing that everything is a fleeting illusion, yet simultaneously a beautiful expression of your true self, I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to step out of the mud and finally appreciate the brilliant flowers of truth blooming right in front of you? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope today's deep dive brings a touch of that warming Vajra flame to your life.